You were born in 1918 in a dockside neighborhood where the fog comes in like a lid. Your father works when he feels like it. Your mother works because rent does not care. You grow up watching men solve problems with fists, debt, and loud promises. You learn one lesson early. The world is a room, and someone always controls the door. By 1938, the door is controlled by the state. You catch charges that stack like bricks: robbery, assault, a failed escape attempt from a different prison. You are not famous, you are simply difficult, incorrigible, escape risk, the kind of inmate wardens trade away like a sickness. In August 1940, a judge signs the paperwork. The transfer line is short, the meaning is long. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, The Rock. The boat ride across San Francisco Bay is cold and quiet. You can see the city, bright buildings, moving cars, a normal life happening at a distance that feels personal. Alcatraz rises out of the water like poured concrete because that is basically what it is: control made physical. The prison has been operating as a federal prison since August 1934. It is not built to be huge, it is built to be final. A smaller population, heavy supervision, one man per cell, and a routine designed to crush improvisation. Processing is fast. Your name becomes a number. Your property is reduced to an inventory list. One steel cot, one thin mattress, one wool blanket, one small fold-down steel desk, one cold water sink, one exposed toilet bolted to the wall. No curtain, no stall, no privacy. That toilet is not a detail. It is the point. The state owns your dignity now, and it proves it daily. You walk into your cell and realize the first rule without anyone explaining it: silence is safer than personality. The clock takes over immediately. Wake up is around 6:30 in the morning. You sit up before the bell finishes ringing because being slow becomes a habit, and habits become punishment. First count comes shortly after. You stand, visible, while officers confirm your body exists where it is supposed to exist. 13 official counts in every 24 hours. Count after count, day after day. The prison's real product is compliance. Breakfast is around 7. You march in a line to the dining hall. 20 minutes. Oatmeal, bread, coffee, sometimes eggs. The meal itself is less important than the rule. Eat fast, don't talk, don't look around too long. Then work. Work is not a right. It is a privilege you earn and lose. Kitchen, laundry, cleaning details, maintenance, later industrial work tied to federal contracts. If you get a better assignment, it's not because anyone likes you. It's because the prison decided you are useful this month. Lunch happens around late morning, then more work, more counts, and the slow afternoon that makes time feel heavier than the walls. Dinner is late afternoon, then final lockup. Lights out around 9:30. Now the part nobody glamorizes: the bathroom. You do not go on a schedule like a normal person. You go when your body needs to, because the toilet is in your cell, always there, always exposed. You learn to do it quickly, quietly, with your face turned away like that changes anything. The air is disinfectant, cold metal, and whatever the last man left behind. The cell house is a machine that recycles sound and smell. Your stomach learns the routine faster than your mind. And sleep is never full sleep. Night counts happen. Sometimes you hear boots. Sometimes a flashlight beam slides across bars. Sometimes you wake up because you realized you were sleeping too deeply, and that feels dangerous. The Rock trains you to be half awake for years. Outside your bars, the prison looks like a military installation, but the rules are more surgical than loud. Guns are not supposed to be inside the cell house. That is the point. Firearms are kept away from inmates by design. The real firepower sits above you in the gun galleries and out in the towers, where it can see everything and touch nothing. You learn to spot the system's anatomy. Gun galleries run along the cell blocks like a second floor of judgment. Armed officers patrol up there. Shotguns, rifles, submachine guns in reserve. The weapons do not need to fire often, they only need to exist. On the yard and in towers, the island's defense becomes obvious. The prison maintains an arsenal strong enough to make the point. No riots, no mass fights, no taking over the yard the way men do in other places. Now, what do inmates carry? Officially, nothing. Reality is uglier and smaller. Improvised weapons exist. Not movie knives, not swords, not fantasy. Crude, short-range tools made from whatever becomes sharp enough or heavy enough. A piece of filed metal, a sharpened utensil handle, a workshop fragment turned into a point, a weighted bundle swung in a blind corner. The craft is not romantic. It is desperate. It exists because men exist. The prison can control your schedule. It can't erase your instincts. You do not see these weapons out in the open. You see the consequences. A quick movement in a hallway, a sudden silence at a table, an inmate refusing to sit with a certain group, a man walking with his shoulders tight like he's trying to become smaller. That's the real hierarchy here. Not gangs with banners, not speeches, microeconomies and quiet threat. There are the steady men, the ones who keep their head down, keep their job, keep their privileges. They live by the rules because the rules are the only thing between them and the whole. There are the reputation men, the ones everyone knows or thinks they know. They carry stories like weapons. They are watched harder. They get fewer chances. There are the connected men. They understand currency in a place where money is useless. Cigarettes, extra sugar, a better work detail, a seat at a table, a warning before a shakedown. And there are the unstable men, the ones who crack, the ones who talk too much, the ones who swing first. Those men don't control anything for long. They get isolated, they get transferred, they get broken. The prison's internal kitchen is paperwork and pressure. Every movement becomes a line in a log. Every rumor becomes a report. Every report gets rewritten. Your boss's boss wants more detail even when the detail is meaningless. Punctuation gets policed like contraband. The paper trail is a second set of bars. You can feel it even as an inmate. Officers care about forms the way you care about air. Privileges run your life. Library access matters, not because books are magic, but because books make time pass. Yard time matters, not because you love exercise, but because the yard proves you still exist outside a concrete box. Showers matter. Hot water is a privilege that feels like dignity. Mail matters. A letter is proof you haven't fully disappeared. And the dining hall matters more than anyone admits, because food is the safest contraband. Extra bread, extra sugar, an extra scoop you pretend was an accident. Those are not treats. Those are bargaining chips. You learn quickly, Alcatraz does not need constant violence to be violent. It uses control. Then you hear about the one-time control failed so hard it became history. May 1946. The Battle of Alcatraz starts as an escape plan and turns into a siege. A small group of inmates takes advantage of routine, seizes officers, reaches the gun gallery, and obtains firearms and keys. The plan collapses when they can't open a critical yard door. Now they're armed, trapped, and desperate. This is what you feel as a man inside the machine. Lockdown. Sudden silence. Orders shouted down hallways. Boots moving fast. Metal doors slamming like punctuation. Gunfire cracks through concrete corridors. It doesn't sound like movies. It sounds like a building being hit with hammers from the inside. Outside forces arrive. The U.S. Marines come in with small arms and gas and grenades, and the institution shifts from prison to combat problem. The roof is drilled, ordnance is used, and the siege ends with bodies and smoke and the system reasserting itself the only way it knows how: overwhelming force. After that, everything tightens. Tool control becomes stricter, searches become meaner. The staff stops trusting routine and starts treating every day like a rehearsal for the next crisis. And still, escape stays alive in men's heads. Because Alcatraz sits within eyesight of freedom. That is a special kind of cruelty. You hear the numbers like folklore. 14 escape attempts across the federal era. 36 men involved. Most caught, some shot, some presumed drowned. The bay is cold, the currents are real, and the distance lies to you when you stare at it. Then, June 1962 becomes the story everybody repeats. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers vanish after a carefully prepared attempt. Dummy heads, opened ventilation paths, improvised flotation, the night fog, the water, and the unanswered question. Were they taken by the current, or did they reach the shore? The public never stops arguing. The prison files it and moves on. You don't need to know the truth to feel the impact. Every successful idea makes the institution harsher for everyone else. After June 1962, you feel the paranoia in policy. More shakedowns, more counts that just happen, more inspections of bolts and vents, more eyes in the galleries. And that brings you back to the simplest, most brutal truth: the day. The day repeats. 6:30 wake up, wash fast in cold water, shave on schedule because looking unkempt draws attention, stand for count like your spine is a flagpole, march for meals, eat fast, work, count, dinner, lockup, lights out, night count, half sleep, repeat. Every part of your body adapts. Your bladder learns to ignore privacy because privacy is gone. Your stomach learns to digest on a timer. Your brain learns to treat footsteps as information. Your shoulders learn to stay tense without you noticing. And your social life becomes a map of risk. Who sits where? Who talks to whom? Who owes what? Who gets moved? Who disappears into segregation? The weapons that matter most aren't steel points. They are consequences. Under review, shakedown, lockdown, privileges revoked. You live inside those invisible labels. Alcatraz is expensive. Salt air corrodes everything. Supplies come by boat. Repairs never end. The prison is older than it looks, and it costs more than anyone wants to pay for what is essentially a symbol. That is part of why the federal government closes it in March 1963. The ending is not cinematic. Cells empty, galleries quiet, towers rust. The island turns into a memory. But the routine does not leave your body. You still wake around 6:30 even when nobody rings a bell. You still eat fast like the meal will be taken away. You still scan for exits. You still measure rooms by where control sits. Alcatraz was not the loudest prison in America. It was the most controlled. It did not break men with nonstop violence. It wore them down with repetition. Concrete, steel, salt air, 13 counts a day, a toilet in the open, years of being watched from above. The rock is closed, but for you, the counting never stopped.